I never thought I would be the kind of person to share a story like this. Not publicly, not on a Christian platform, and certainly not to strangers who don't know me. But something has happened. Something too real, too powerful, too terrifying and beautiful at the same time. I can't keep it to myself anymore. My name is Layla Thompson. I was born in Dearborn, Michigan, a place where mosques stand tall, the call to prayer echoes through neighborhoods, and devotion to Islam is not just a religion, it's an identity, a family honor, a way of life. My father is a respected imam. He teaches at the local mosque and leads Friday prayers that hundreds attend. In our home, Islam was law, not just tradition, not culture law. Everything we did was centered around Allah, the Prophet Muhammad, and the Quran. I wore my hijab since the age of 10. I fasted every Ramadan without missing a single day. I recited surahs before every meal, before sleep, before leaving the house. Religion wasn't optional, it was survival. I grew up believing that Christianity was false, that the Bible had been corrupted, that Jesus was a prophet, yes, but nothing more, nothing divine. And to even entertain the idea that Jesus was the Son of God was blasphemy. It was something that could get you disowned, or worse. In high school, I became active online. I would go on YouTube, Facebook, TikTok. And every time I saw a Christian video about Jesus returning or the so-called rapture, I'd feel something rise in me. Not curiosity, but rage, disgust. I couldn't stand the way Christians spoke of love and forgiveness like it meant anything coming from a false gospel. I'd leave comments, angry ones, accusatory. "You are all deceived," I would write. "You are liars. You're making money off fear. Your Jesus won't save you." In my mind, I was defending truth. I thought I was standing up for God. I believed I was righteous. I especially hated videos that talked about end times, those stories of people floating into the sky while others were left behind. They sounded ridiculous, like fiction made to scare children. The rapture, please, I would laugh and scroll past with a scoff. One time I even stitched a Christian TikTok and mocked the girl who cried while saying Jesus was coming soon. I said, "You need mental help. Your Jesus isn't real. Wake up." It got a lot of likes. And I felt proud, like I had won some holy debate. But something changed. Not suddenly. Not at first. It was like a whisper, a tension, a small crack in a wall I thought was unbreakable. I started having dreams, shadows I didn't understand, voices I couldn't place. I ignored them, brushed them off as stress or nonsense. But they kept coming. And then one night, the night that changed everything, I had the dream. I didn't know that God could reach someone like me. I didn't think Jesus would care about a woman who insulted him so many times, who spit on his name and tried to lead others away from him. But what I learned is that Jesus doesn't look at us the way we look at each other. He doesn't wait for perfection. He waits for surrender. And this right now, this is my surrender. I know some of you watching this might be skeptical, maybe even angry the way I used to be. I get it. I really do. But I need you to hear the rest of this story because it's not just mine. It might be yours too. If you've ever questioned what happens after death, if you've ever wondered whether Jesus is real, if you've mocked the idea of the rapture, or lived like time was endless, then please don't go anywhere. Stay with me. This story isn't just about what I saw. It's about what it means for all of us. Because once I tell you what I experienced, once I describe what I saw with my own eyes, felt in my own soul, you might never look at time, truth, or eternity the same way again. Before I take you deeper into what happened that night, I need your help. If this story already stirs something inside you, even just a flicker of curiosity or emotion. Please take a moment to like this video. Leave a comment below with your thoughts or questions. And most importantly, subscribe to this channel so you don't miss the rest of this testimony. Share it with someone who needs to hear a warning or a hope. You have no idea whose eternity might change from one simple click. Now let me take you into the night that changed my life forever. That night felt ordinary, almost forgettable. My husband Imran was asleep beside me. Our daughter Nora had curled up at the foot of our bed with her stuffed giraffe breathing softly in the way only children can. The air conditioner buzzed low. The streetlights outside cast long shadows on the curtains. Everything was still, safe, familiar. I had done my nightly prayers, covered my hair, whispered the words I had memorized since childhood. I didn't question them not because I understood, but because they were all I had ever known. I kissed my daughter's forehead, closed my eyes, and drifted into sleep without expecting anything other than another tomorrow. But what happened next didn't feel like a dream. It began in a mosque. I was kneeling with other women, rows of us, heads bowed, our voices rising in rhythm, Arabic prayers echoing through a tall dome. The marble beneath my knees was cold, grounding. Yet something in the air felt off. The silence between our words stretched too long. The ground beneath me started to tremble. At first it was subtle, a soft vibration, like someone far away was walking heavily. But then it escalated. Fast. Violent. The ground cracked. The walls of the mosque split like paper. The calligraphy on the ceiling shimmered, then vanished. The lights burst into sparks and went out completely. Women screamed. Some collapsed. I grabbed Nora, who somehow was beside me, and held her tight as the ground roared beneath us. It was chaos. I thought it was an earthquake or the end of the world. And then I heard it. A sound, not from this world, not thunder, not sirens. This was a trumpet. But no trumpet I'd ever heard. It was enormous, infinite. It didn't just pass through my ears, it pierced my body. It shook my bones. It rattled every thought out of my head. I covered my ears, but it was useless. This sound wasn't heard, it was felt. Like a call, like a summons. Not to flee, but to rise. I ran outside, still clutching Nora. My mouth was crying out the only name I knew in panic. Ya Allah, Ya Allah. But as soon as I looked up, my voice caught in my throat. The sky was alive. People were rising. Thousands of them, men, women, children. They were floating fast upward like smoke carried on wind, but so peaceful, so still. They weren't screaming. They weren't flailing. They were just going home. Their clothes, shoes, phones were falling to the ground. But they were going, glowing. I couldn't move. I was frozen. I knew something was wrong, terribly wrong. I looked around me. Muslim families, people from the mosque, neighbors. We were all still on the ground. Everyone I had ever known was still here. No one I prayed with was being taken. But the Christians, the ones I had mocked online, the ones I said were liars, they were gone. They were the ones being lifted. And then my arms felt light, too light. I looked down. Nora was gone. Panic didn't even cover what I felt. I screamed her name. I turned in every direction. I pushed through crowds. I fell to my knees. Where is she? Where is she? Then I looked up, and I saw her, floating, safe, in the arms of an angel. She wasn't afraid. She was calm. She looked down at me with the same eyes I'd kissed goodnight. And then she was gone. Higher, out of reach, out of time, out That's when I broke. I dropped to the pavement. I wept in a way I didn't know I could. I had always thought I was strong, proud, in control. But in that moment, I wasn't a believer or a mother or a woman. I was just a soul. And I knew deep in my bones that I had missed something, something massive, something eternal, something I thought was a lie, but was the most real thing I had ever witnessed. I didn't know what to call it, but now I know. It was the rapture. If you're still here, if you've ever doubted whether the rapture is real, if you've brushed it off as fantasy or fear tactics, hear me, I did too, until I saw it, until I was left behind. Don't go anywhere. What happened next changed everything. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. This isn't just a dream. This is a warning. And the next part may just shake your entire view of time judgment and love. I don't remember how long I stayed on the ground. Minutes, hours. It felt like time had stopped, or like I had stepped outside of it completely. My hands trembled against the pavement. My heart was pounding so loud I couldn't hear the screams around me anymore. The world had become a blur of sirens, chaos, and silence somehow all at once. But one thing was devastatingly clear: I wasn't going. I was left behind. The sky, still glowing moments before, now seemed distant, empty, like the door to heaven had been slammed shut, and I was on the wrong side. I remember looking around me. There were dozens, no hundreds of people in the streets just like me, staring upward, crying, screaming. Mothers holding children who hadn't disappeared. Husbands grabbing at the air as if trying to pull back someone they had just lost. I could see the fear in their eyes, the disbelief. Some were wailing. Some were collapsing to the ground. Others just stood frozen, mouths open, eyes wide like statues of denial. And then came the sirens. So many of them. Fire trucks, ambulances, police, all rushing in every direction. But they weren't there to help. They couldn't. No one could. Because this wasn't a tragedy you could fix with first aid or sirens or a rescue team. This was something else. Something far beyond human reach. I saw abandoned cars crashing into each other. Drivers had vanished mid-ride. Airplanes overhead were veering off course. Pilots gone. News alerts flashed on phones and screens around me. Millions missing worldwide. Unexplainable phenomenon. Is this the end? But the media didn't have the words. They couldn't explain it. But I could. For the first time in my life, I knew what I was seeing. This was the rapture, and I wasn't part of it. I fell to my knees again this time, not in panic, but in despair. My soul felt like it was being torn in two. I had mocked this. I had denied this. I had told others it was fake, a scam, a lie, made to scare the weak-minded. I thought I was smart, rational, faithful in my own way. But none of that mattered now. What mattered was that I had rejected the truth. And now, I was standing in the consequences of that rejection. My mind replayed every Christian video I'd ever scrolled past, every believer I'd ever insulted online. Every time someone said, "Jesus loves you," and I rolled my eyes. Every moment I thought I was defending God when in truth I was shutting him out. And then came the worst realization of all. Nora was gone. My daughter, my baby, my only child, my heart. She was up there, taken, safe, carried in the arms of an angel, yes, but gone from me. And I was still here. I screamed her name again, Nora, Nora. My voice broke. People turned, but no one spoke. We were all broken now. All guilty, all left behind. And yet, even in the middle of this grief, this hell on earth, a thought crept into my heart. She was taken. Because she was innocent. She had no hate in her. She had no pride, no arrogance, no false religion to cling to. She was open, pure. And Jesus took her home. The memory of her looking back at me, those big, honest eyes, so full of peace, it haunted me. Still does. Because she wasn't afraid. She wasn't confused. It was me who was afraid. It was me who was empty. It was me who was left. The air felt heavier now. The glow in the sky had faded. All that remained was smoke, sirens, and the unbearable sound of unanswered crying. People were begging for help, begging to know what had happened, begging to reverse it. But no one was answering. Because this wasn't just a loss, it was a separation, and I was on the wrong side of it. I started to whisper, forgive me, over and over. But my words didn't feel like enough. My heart felt too heavy, too stained. For the first time in my life, I realized what true regret felt like. Not for something small, but for missing eternity. And if you're watching this now, please, I beg you, don't wait until you hear that trumpet. Because once it sounds, once it starts, it's too late. I thought I had time. I thought I could sort it all out later, but later never came. Jesus came, and I missed him. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Not just because it helps the channel, but because someone you love might need to hear this before it's too late. Don't just watch, act. What happened next brought me face to face with the one I denied my whole life. And he didn't come with wrath. He came with eyes full of tears. I don't know how I stood back up, or how I ended up in the middle of the street. Everything felt surreal. The colors were too sharp, the shadows too long, the air too thin, like the world had cracked open and I was standing inside a wound. People around me were collapsing. Some were shouting in tongues I didn't understand. Others were on their knees, clawing at the pavement, begging for answers. A few just stared up at the sky, their faces twisted in horror or awe. But I wasn't looking at them. I couldn't, because I felt something behind me. Not a sound, not a wind, a presence. It started as a warmth, like sunlight, except it wasn't coming from the sky. It was behind me, a radiance, a pull. I turned slowly, and I saw him. Jesus. I didn't need anyone to tell me who he was. I had never seen his face before. But I knew. My soul knew. Every molecule in my body recognized him. And every part of me that had ever mocked him, denied him, hated his name, trembled in shame. He stood in the air just above the ground, surrounded by light that didn't hurt to look at, but made it impossible to look away. His robe was white, but it wasn't just fabric, it glowed like it was woven from the sun itself. His hair flowed like silk, yet shimmered like gold. His hands were open, scars visible, his eyes. I can't explain his eyes. They weren't just looking at me, they were looking through me, into me. They saw everything, every lie, every insult, every angry comment I ever left under a Christian video. Every time I rolled my eyes at his name, every moment I chose pride over truth. But those eyes weren't angry. They were sad, deeply soul-crushingly sad, not disappointed, not condemning, just full of sorrow, like someone who had waited far too long for someone who never came home. I fell to my knees instantly. I didn't even feel my legs give out. I just dropped, like the weight of my guilt pulled me into the earth. Please, please. I wept. I didn't know. I didn't understand. Forgive me. I believe now. I see you. I know you're real. Please.
You knew?
The words hit me like thunder. Not because they were harsh, but because they were true.
You heard my name. You mocked my return. You told others not to listen.
I sobbed so hard my body shook. I couldn't breathe. My chest felt like it was caving in. I was wrong. I was blind. Please, I didn't see before, but I do now.
I called you through dreams. I called you through my children. I called you through my word. But you closed your ears. You closed your heart.
I wanted to disappear. I wanted to rip time apart and go back, to undo everything, to change every word I ever said against him. But I couldn't. The moment was here, and I was too late.
I loved you from the beginning. I waited and waited and waited.
I looked up through tears. Please take me now. Take me with my daughter. I don't care what it costs. Just don't leave me here. Not now. Not like this. His face softened, and for a moment, I thought he would say yes. But then,
She knew nothing. She is innocent. I have taken all the little ones, but you had time.
his voice wasn't condemning. It wasn't angry. It was grieved, like a father mourning the loss of a child who chose to run away.
I am the way, the truth, and the life, and you chose your own.
I collapsed face to the ground, screaming, "Forgive me, please. I believe now. I believe you are the Son of God. I was wrong. I was proud. I was blind. Please." Silence. Then, the light around him pulsed, and something appeared behind him, hanging in the sky like a scroll made of stars. A calendar. I could see the years printed across it, 2025, 2026, 227, and so on. Suddenly, the years began to fold inward. 2030 disappeared. 2029 vanished. 2028 gone. The numbers peeled away like burnt paper curling into ash. When it reached 2026, an angel, blinding and majestic, flew toward it, tore that year from the calendar, crumpled it in his glowing hand, and threw it away like garbage. I gasped. What does that mean? What is happening? And then I heard it.
Time is finished. No more delay.
Darkness fell, not like night, like silence, like judgment. I couldn't see him anymore. I couldn't see anything, just cold silence, regret. And then I woke up, screaming. My hands clutched my bedsheets, my chest burned, my face soaked in tears. I reached for Nora. She was sleeping, safe, beside me. It had been a dream, but not just a dream. It was a revelation, a warning, a chance. And I knew I couldn't ignore it again. If you're still watching this, don't wait. Don't rationalize. Don't scroll away thinking I'll figure it out later, because later is not promised. I was given a glimpse of the moment when grace ends. And believe me, it's not a feeling you want to face. Jesus isn't waiting for the perfect. He's waiting for the willing. Don't miss your moment. Don't be left behind. Like this video. Share it. Leave a comment below if you've ever felt the call of Jesus even faintly. And please subscribe to this channel. There's more to this story. And someone you know might need to hear it before it's too late. Even now, days later, I can still see it burned into my memory like a scar of fire, the calendar in the sky. It wasn't just a vision, it was a proclamation. I remember staring past Jesus, past the glowing outline of his figure in the sky, and seeing something stretch behind him. It was massive, infinite, suspended in the air like it was stitched between eternity and time. At first, I thought it was a scroll. Then I realized it was a calendar, not like the ones we hang in our kitchens. This one pulsed with light alive somehow. The years shone like constellations, 2025, 2026, 27, 28, 2029, 2030, all laid out in a long arc drifting across the heavens. And then it began to change. One by one, the years began to disappear. Not fade, not vanish, but fold in on themselves, like brittle leaves crumbling under heat. First 2030, then 29, then 28. Gone. 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 No explanation, no voice, just this silent, divine countdown unraveling in front of my eyes. I was frozen, confused. My heart raced. Why were the years disappearing? What was being shown to me? Then came the moment that still haunts me every time I close my eyes. When the calendar reached 2026, a flash of brilliant light burst through the sky. An angel, towering, radiant, and blazing like lightning, shot downward, snatched the glowing 26 from the timeline, and violently ripped it off. I heard the sound of paper tearing, except it echoed like thunder across the heavens. Then the angel crushed the year into his hand like trash and threw it behind him into the void. The calendar itself trembled. The heavens shook. And then came the voice.
Time is finished, no more delay.
I felt those words inside my bones. They weren't yelled. They weren't even spoken loudly, but they thundered inside of me. They weren't meant for my ears. They were meant for my soul. Time was done. And 2026, that specific year, had been singled out, torn away, discarded. What did it mean? Even now, I don't pretend to know everything. I'm not a prophet. I'm not a theologian. I'm just a woman who saw something she wasn't supposed to see. Because God in His mercy wanted me to warn someone, maybe you. I don't believe that calendar was symbolic for me alone. I believe it was a divine alarm clock, and the year 2026, for some reason unknown to me, has been marked. Maybe it's the year everything changes. Maybe it's the year grace runs out. Maybe it's the year the final trumpet sounds. I don't know the what, but I know the weight. Jesus didn't give me specifics. He didn't whisper prophecies or quote scripture at me. He just showed me that time is running out faster than we think. And He let me feel what it's like to live one moment after it's too late. The angel crumpling 26 wasn't just an image. It was a warning, a countdown, a divine mercy wrapped in terrifying urgency. And if you're watching this right now, reading these words, don't ignore them. Even if you think I'm crazy, even if you think this is just another emotional video meant to scare you, ask yourself, why did this message find me now?
Because maybe, just maybe, 2026 is not just a year, it's a line.
And once we cross it, there's no going back. I woke up screaming, not like those half-awake gasps you get from a nightmare. This was full-body, soul-shaking, chest-crushing terror. My hands were clutched into fists, nails digging into my palms. My skin was drenched in sweat and my throat burned from crying in my sleep. My eyes flew open and the room spun around me like the whole world had tilted sideways. I looked to my side, Nora. She was still there, sleeping peacefully, her tiny hand curled under her cheek, her soft breath rising and falling with innocent rhythm. A sob burst from my chest. I grabbed her and pulled her into my arms like she might vanish if I didn't hold on tight enough. I kissed her forehead again and again, whispering, "Thank you, God, thank you," even though I didn't know exactly who I was thanking anymore. But deep down, I did. It wasn't Allah. It wasn't tradition. It was Jesus, and His name echoed in my mind like a heartbeat. Jesus, 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 that name. The name I had once refused to say, now felt like the only word that made sense. The only name that could steady my soul after what I had seen. I didn't sleep that night, not even for a moment. I sat in the dark, holding Nora, staring into space, replaying every detail of the dream, know the revelation over and over again. The trumpet, the light, the rapture, the calendar, the crushing sorrow in Jesus' eyes, and the terrifying, irreversible truth I had been left behind. The next morning, I told my husband. I tried to explain, trembling, still in shock. I told him I had seen Jesus, that the rapture was real, that everything I thought I knew, everything I had believed about religion, eternity, heaven, was wrong. He looked at me like I had grown two heads. Then his face hardened. "You're dreaming lies," he said coldly. "Don't ever speak of this again. You're being deceived. This is the devil. This is madness." I expected confusion. I didn't expect anger, rage. He refused to look me in the eye for the rest of the day. He watched me like I was dangerous, like I was becoming someone he couldn't trust. And maybe I was, because something inside me had shifted. I couldn't explain it with logic or words, but it felt like my soul had been cracked open and light had poured in. I wasn't the same Layla anymore. The old pride, the mockery, the blind certainty, it had been peeled away in that dream like a layer of dead skin. Now there was only fire, a fire in my chest I couldn't put out. I couldn't eat. I couldn't sleep. I couldn't scroll through my phone without weeping when I saw a Bible verse or a preacher's voice or even the word rapture. I used to mock those things, and now they pierced me like arrows. Every night after that, I started hearing Jesus' name in my sleep. I would see him far off, standing in the light, his eyes full of tears reaching for me, not condemning me, not demanding from me, just calling me. And I knew what it meant. He hadn't left me behind in real life, not yet. He was showing me what could happen if I kept hardening my heart. It wasn't wrath, it wasn't punishment, it was mercy. He was still giving me a chance. But I had to make a decision, not just privately, not just in my heart, out loud, boldly, publicly. I couldn't keep pretending for my family. I couldn't go back to the mosque and pray empty prayers. I couldn't stay silent just to avoid conflict, because what I saw was worth losing everything for. Even my marriage, even my reputation, even my life. That realization terrified me. I was still afraid. I still didn't know how to pray like Christians. I didn't know what church to go to. I didn't know if anyone would accept me. I didn't even know if Jesus would accept me after everything I'd done. But I knew one thing: I couldn't unsee what I saw, and I couldn't undo the call. Jesus had reached for me when I was mocking him. He had called me when I was rejecting him. He had looked at me with tears when I deserved fire. And now I was ready to say yes. This is the hardest part of the story. Not the vision, not the trumpet, not even watching my daughter float away. The hardest part is waking up and realizing you can't live the same way anymore. Have you ever felt that stirring inside, that feeling like you're being called to something bigger, even if you don't understand it yet? If this resonates with you, don't be silent. Comment below. Share your experience, or just write, "I feel the fire too," like this video. Share it with someone who might be on the edge. And subscribe, because what happens next is when I truly found Jesus not in a dream, but in reality. If you're still watching this, if you've followed me this far into my story, I need you to understand something. This isn't about religion. This isn't about Christianity versus Islam, or denominations, or church traditions, or trying to be better than someone else. This is about truth, and the truth has a name.
I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me.
I didn't believe those words once. I argued against them. I mocked them. But now, I stake my eternity on them. Because after everything I saw, everything I felt, everything I lived through in that dream, I realize now there is only one way out of what's coming, and his name is Jesus. Some of you watching may feel like I used to feel: angry, confused, defensive. Like someone is trying to force you to abandon your roots, your identity, your culture. I get it. Believe me, I really do. But hear me, Jesus isn't after your culture. He's after your heart. He doesn't want to erase your past. He wants to redeem it. He doesn't ask you to be perfect. He asks you to be honest. You don't need to have it all figured out. You don't need to understand the whole Bible. You don't need to suddenly become religious. You just need to say yes. Say yes to the one who has been knocking on your heart since before you even knew his name. Say yes to the one who bled for you long before you even believed he existed. Say yes to Jesus. Because here's the truth. I can't ignore anymore. Time is running out. The world around us is unraveling morally, politically, spiritually. We're being distracted by endless noise, fed lies, addicted to comfort, numbed by screens. We laugh at holiness. We mock purity. We celebrate pride and call it freedom. And yet, inside, we're empty. We're chasing pleasure while our souls starve. We're screaming for rights while silencing conscience. We're free, but we're lost. And through all of that, Jesus is still calling, still pleading, not with condemnation, but with compassion.
Come to me, all who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest.
If your soul is tired, He sees you. If your heart is broken, He welcomes you. If your shame is too deep to talk about, He already knows. There's no sin too dark, no past too messy, no doubt too loud. If He came for me, a woman who insulted His name publicly, who rejected every sign, who led others away from Him, then He can come for you too. And if you're ready, truly ready to begin, you don't need a church building or a priest or perfect words. All you need is a sincere heart. You can pray something like this: Jesus, I don't know everything about you, but I believe you're real. I believe you are the Son of God, that you died for my sins and rose again. I'm tired of running. I want to know you. I want to be saved. Please forgive me. Wash me clean. Come into my life and be my Savior. I surrender. I say yes. That's it. You don't need fancy words. He hears the honest ones.
Whoever comes to me, I will never cast out.
And once you've said yes, don't stop there. Find a Bible. Read the book of John. It's the best place to start. Look for a Bible-believing church, not a perfect one, but a real one. Ask questions. Make mistakes. Learn. Grow. You won't be alone. There's a whole family of people out there, just like me, once blind, now seeing, who are ready to welcome you home. And if you're already a believer, but you've grown lukewarm, distant, distracted, please don't wait for another sign. Don't wait for another dream. You've already been warned. Return now. Return today. Because when that trumpet sounds, there are no second chances. I've seen what it looks like to be left behind. I don't want that for you. Jesus doesn't want that for you. The door is open, but not for long. Up next is the final part of my story: how I said yes, and how everything in my life changed. But before we get there, like this video, share it and leave a comment below. Tell me if you prayed, tell me what you felt, or tell me where you are in your journey. This is a safe place. And don't forget to subscribe, not just for me, but for you. Because if this story found you, I believe Jesus is reaching for you too. Don't ignore the knock. Open the door. If this story touched you, even just a little, don't leave without doing something. Don't scroll away in silence. Don't wait until later. Later may never come. If you felt something stir in your heart, if you felt conviction, curiosity, hope, or even just a little fear, that means this message was meant for you. So here's what I need you to do right now. Hit that like button. Not for vanity, but so this message gets pushed to someone else who needs to hear it. Leave a comment. Even just one word, Jesus. Let the world see faith rising. Share this video with someone you love. Don't assume they'll find it on their own. And above all, subscribe to this channel. More stories are coming. More warnings. More truth. More hope. Because this isn't just about views. It's about souls. Yours, theirs, mine. Together, let's prepare for what's coming. Jesus is calling. Will you answer?